Hello, amazing friends. Welcome to Wednesday Wisdom today. And Elizabeth Rose here, and we have the absolute pleasure and honor of having my amazing mother, Terry Seacrest, join us today. So many of y'all know her as our Royal Crown Diamond with Young Living Essential Oils. However, she has a few other amazing accomplishments throughout her life, including being a certified wellness coach. She's also a best-selling author. Go check out Essential Oils, God's Extravagant Provision for Your Health. And she's written a cookbook and several other business books and things like that, several other courses as well. In addition to being best-selling author, that has led her to get to go speak around the world in many other countries. And I've had the blessing of being with her during some of those occasions. I think Manila, Philippines was actually an amazing experience we had together, speaking at a women's conference with several thousand women at the Cuneta Astrodome. And just things like that are so powerful because, as women and as business owners, we get to empower others all around the world. And sometimes we really don't even know how big of an impact our message has. And so I truly think, Mom, your message has a far greater impact than you'll ever know. And hopefully folks share their testimonies as time goes on, because I think, for instance, today's topic, 3 ways to be a stunning success in business, is one of those topics that we can all just glean, whether it's little nuggets or get inspiration to apply greater things to our business. So feel free to go ahead and take it away and share what you have for us today.
I can't believe one of my top 3 traits isn't my cinnamon rolls, honey. What's going on here?
Well, that is one of your top 3 family traits.
Anyway, thank you, honey. That was so sweet of you. I'd like to welcome everyone, and I do understand that somehow this ended up on my personal Facebook page. So if you have, 30 or 45 minutes to spare, do join us. This is about business in general. Anyone can glean from this. Anyone can learn. I want to also invite Crosslines, whoever's team you're on in Young Living, I'd like to invite you to join today. We were unable to successfully get this email out. We had some technical difficulties. So really, we didn't have any advertising. So nobody really knows we're doing this. So you know what? Let's have fun with it. And I am really excited to share. So Elizabeth, what I'm going to do is pop open. Hopefully this will work. To share. Oh, would you give me permission to share my screen, honey?
Yes, here we go. Let's see. I'm just going to go ahead. Ooh, I think I can make you the co-host, and that should allow you to share. Try that.
There we go. And it might take me a second here. I'm going to pop this up. There we go. Are you seeing it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, super,
so
super.
It's a little bit small. Why don't you try where you do a view and then
all right. Let me try that view
and then full
enter
screen.
full screen. There we go. There we go.
Perfect.
Okay,
That's great.
super. Again, welcoming anyone watching today for 3 vital components for business success. I love talking about business because business is critical to have a great life. So let's get started without delay. And again, if you're joining us, you can put something in the chat, let us know where you're from, and we would love to hear from you. So here is something to ponder, you guys, for men and women watching of faith today. I love this. Proverbs 11:10 says, when the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. We cannot take this too lightly. Just imagine if you, whatever your business you're in, especially if you're one of our business partners, you're in maybe a small town, wherever you are, and you are diligently working and you are diligently growing your business. Imagine that when you become successful and your little town becomes successful, the city rejoices. We need to know that God loves business and he loves it when we succeed. All right. Well, for the next few minutes, you're going to hear, I would say, a miraculous story, and in some senses, a funny story about my own business journey. And I don't know, I could stop sharing the screen for just a moment because, oh, I don't know if that works.
There we go. I can see your face now.
You can, okay. So, you guys, what happened was that I was a stay-at-home mom with 3 little children, and actually 2. I'm so sorry. I had 2 children, and pregnant with our 3rd child, little Joseph, and went into very, very heavy labor at 6.5 months because my husband and I took an airplane flight. The doctor said it was very safe. And coming home, when the airplane went up like this, all of a sudden, my stomach went out like a balloon and I got very sick and on the airplane. And I looked down and like, if you could imagine, Elizabeth, when the stewardess brings you the pretzels, they're kind of puffed up, on the airplane. That's what I
Yeah.
looked like.
Oh,
And so anyway, when we got home, we had been into organic foods for years and all of this sort of thing, but I didn't know anything about essential oils at all. But we got home, we were going to have a home birth because our second child was born at home and it was such a great experience. So the midwife was on the phone timing my contractions, and suddenly she screamed at me and told me, and she was driving to the house. So she had her watch on, she's talking to me and driving to the house. She screams at me that I'm going to deliver between 7 to 10 minutes and tells me that my little baby is not safe and that chances are his lungs would not be fully developed and I could lose him. She said, I'm calling a helicopter to get you to because we lived an hour from the hospital. She said, I'm calling a helicopter. When she said that, I just was terrified. It just sounded so horrible. I couldn't even imagine such a thing, like having a baby born in a helicopter. So I asked her to wait 1 minute before she made that call. She continued driving to the house, and in that 1 minute, I just got out of bed, fell to my knees. I looked up and I said, Papa, if there's anything strong enough to stop heavy labor in this house, will you show me what it is? I didn't know what else to pray. I just didn't even know. So I heard the words oil of lavender. And I thought it was the strangest thing ever because I had never used oils before, had no idea anything other than I had been given a bottle of lavender of Young Living as a gift 3 months earlier. My husband ran in the pantry and there it sat, that little bottle of lavender, because I didn't know what to do with it. It was sitting in the pantry. And he said, is this what you're talking about? I said, I guess. He said, what do I do? I said, I don't know, just marinate me. It was hilarious. He marinated me like a turkey, 25 drops all over my stomach and drops on the bottoms of my feet. In 45 seconds, my heavy labor stopped. Oh my goodness. Can I say it was the lavender? Absolutely not. We may never know. All I know is, Elizabeth, we put that on, 45 seconds later it stopped. She comes running in the door, the midwife. I've got to make that phone call. She looks at me and she goes, wait a minute, what happened to you? She's looking at me and I said, I don't know. And she goes, what's that? And I was holding that bottle shaking. I said, I don't know. She goes, lay down. So when she examined me, she determined that the baby had fallen so low that I had to be on total bed rest for the next 6 weeks. She said I wasn't even allowed to sit up in bed. I had to lay flat down in bed. Well, everything was working great until I had to go to the restroom. And the minute I stood up, walked to the restroom, I went back into labor. This went on for 6 weeks. And every day we put the lavender on and it stopped. So again, just To me, a miracle is when you absolutely don't know what to do. You have no idea what to do. You cry out to God and you're like, Papa, I don't know what to do. Please help me. So to me, that was the miracle of him showing me what to do. On the due date of the birth, we delivered a very healthy, believe it or not, 10-pound, 3-ounce baby. I don't even know how I did it, but we did it. And the midwife didn't even make it to the birth. She got there 10 minutes late, and I was holding my little baby, and she did all the afterbirth care. So, this is a thing that is amazing. So while I had nothing to do except for lay in bed all of those weeks, I started studying what is lavender oil. How could it possibly have helped me? And I start reading things like, muscle spasms, if you have a Charlie horse, things like if you have a slight head pressure on your head, you put your lavender. If you're having trouble sleeping at night, it might help, things like this. And again, we're not here to make any claims of any kind today. Please call your doctor before using any new protocols of any kind. We are just here to tell you what happened. So we lived on a horse ranch. Elizabeth can tell you a lot of stories about that. We lived on a horse ranch on 5,000 acres of land in Arizona with only 12 homes. Picture that, 5,000 acres of land, 12 homes. So word kind of travels fast, when you have that situation. All the ranchers started calling me, Terry, I've got this and this and this and allergies and blah, blah, blah. Can you sell me some lavender? I said, absolutely not. I don't sell anything. I don't sell oils. Go to the health food store. Well, they went to the health food store and bought a different brand and they didn't work. And they called and said, sorry, but I did what you told me and it didn't work. And I thought, oh my goodness, maybe there's something, a difference of quality. Long story short of it, I kept saying no for, I don't know, I think almost maybe 3 or 6 months, something like that. But I kept feeling this tugging in my heart that the Lord wanted me to study this from a biblical standpoint and teach his people. I kept feeling that nudging. And I'm like, Lord, I've got 3 little babies. I am not going to start a business. I am not going to leave my home and, go out and have some business. I kept arguing. But I kept feeling this nagging. I want you to learn this. I want you to study this. I want you to teach my people. So finally, one day, Elizabeth, I said, Lord, if this is truly what you desire me to do, I will do it. But I said, Lord, I don't know anything about marketing or anything like this. Will you be my CEO? Will you be my CEO? And will you be my daily business partner? I just asked him because I'd never been in marketing or anything like this. So I invited him in from day one. And if you're taking notes, just give this some thought. Many of you've probably already done this. But if for some reason you haven't, God loves business and he wants to be there with you. He wants to do it with you. So that was the first thing. The second thing was that I knew that, again, I could not be traipsing all over the countryside, doing some business. So I said, Lord, I know this is kind of a big request, but could you just bring the business to me? Because if you will, I'll do all the study. I will learn about these biblical oils and I will do the study. But Lord, would you just bring the business to me? And I didn't even know how that could happen because Elizabeth, back in that day, okay, we had a cell phone about this big. It was this huge cell phone. We couldn't get landline telephones because our ranches bordered the Indian reservation and we couldn't get permission to have landlines. So we had no computers at all. And we had this giant cell phone. Eventually, not too long after, the cell phones got smaller. So then once I got a smaller cell phone, I was walking in the desert and I prayed that prayer and kind of forgot about it. Several weeks went by, kind of forgot about it. I was walking in the desert, the phone rang and I said, here, I never had a single phone call, you guys, because I didn't do any advertising. I just was kind of trusting the Lord. So I wanted to sound professional, if you can believe this. I'm like, Essential Oils Healthline, this is Terry, may I help you? Trying to sound like I'm some business. And it was so funny, Elizabeth, because the guy on the other end of the line says to me, I am so glad you answered the phone. And he identified himself as being a radio talk show host. And
Mm,
of course, I didn't know, back in the day, I didn't know him or anything like that. And he said, listen, I understand that you have knowledge on biblical essential oils.
mm,
He said, I have a radio talk show and my guest had to cancel because he was sick today. Would you consider, no, he didn't say today. He said, my guest had to cancel. He said, would you consider coming on my show as a guest? And I said, oh, yes, sir. Yes, I do have knowledge in this area. Sir, and I'm out in the desert. I'm a half an hour away from home. I said, sir, when is the show? And he said, right now.
mm. Nothing
Elizabeth,
like
I
a spur of the
never.
moment. Are you ready? Are you ready for success?
Honey, if you've ever heard or seen a book called The Emperor with No Clothes, it's probably way, way before your time. That's how I felt because all of my resource books were back home. And I had very little knowledge in those days. Imagine, less than just a few months of knowledge.
Well, there
And
really
then
wasn't much out there either.
no,
We
oh
have
my
reference
goodness.
books galore, 8
Yeah,
different versions of it, plus 2 more, plus an online app on our phone. But back then, I mean, if you go to the library, there was very few books that talked about anything to do with essential oils for medicinal purposes. There
yeah,
was like fragrance and how to make perfume blends. But truly, I mean, 30 years ago when Gary started the company, he also started the research of how to use the oils. And also though, I think like as a child, I kind of felt like a guinea pig because, oh, hey, you stubbed your toe and yada, 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 well, let's try this and see if it works.
you're
And I
so
think a
right.
lot of us
Oh.
in the early days just tried things because we knew oils worked, but we didn't exactly know how or why they worked. And now
Honey,
there's
you
a
were the
lot more
biggest,
science to back it up.
you and your brothers were guinea pigs. There's just no other way to say it. I mean, oh my goodness, you're so right. Well, okay, long story short of it, I'll try to cut the story short here. But I want to say this to inspire people to realize that God is on your side and wants you to be successful. So here's what happened. I went on that radio show and we were talking, and the talk show host kept telling me, he would say, all the lines are lit up, all the lines are lit up. And I didn't even know what that meant. But what it meant was there was lots and lots and lots of people calling in to ask questions. Well, then
Mhm.
he took a commercial break. And during the commercial break, he came on and he goes, oh, Terry, he goes, you're so professional. He goes, you're doing a great job. He said, I can tell you've done a lot of radio shows. All I could say was, thank you. That's all I could say. Thank you. So then then he says to me, he says, would you like to know how many listeners we have today? And I said, sir, you're so professional. I said, I would imagine you have at least 2,000 listeners. Well, he broke out laughing. He just busted out laughing. He said, Terry, we have 23 million listeners. I almost fainted, Elizabeth. I was
Yeah, that's
hyperventilating. I
that's
was
a lot. Being out in the middle of the desert and with a cell phone,
I
23
was
million
terrified. I
listeners.
was so terrified to go back on. I finally, took a deep breath, went back on. We finished the show, and at the end of the show, he says, "Now, Terry, there's just way too many questions and what we can answer. So if you don't mind, could you give us your office phone number and we'll have people call you?" Well, Elizabeth, not only did I not have an office, I only had a desk in my bedroom. And remember, all I had was this one cell phone. That was it. Back in the day, when somebody would try to call in on your cell phone, you would hear a little beep, like if somebody's trying to call in while you're talking. So I was still on the radio show and it sounded like a machine gun went off. It was
Beep,
just a beep,
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 beep, beep, like
beep,
that.
beep,
Well, by
beep.
the time I walked home, we had 1,000 phone calls.
Yikes. Yikes.
So I'm just illustrating this to say you plus God is everything. You know, zero plus God, because again, I had no knowledge. I lacked a lot of, I just lacked a lot of things in those days. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because not only that, God has been with me every step of the way in business. Now, a few times, you start thinking you're really cool or you're really, you're really something, and you kind of, leave God in the dust. But let me tell you, don't do that, because you just you want him to be there every single day. So,
It doesn't
all
work
right.
for very long. You can try, but I've tried. It doesn't work for very long.
Exactly. So let me see if I can share my screen again and pull that PowerPoint back up. This is,
Good.
sorry, it's just always a little bit challenging for me, this technology. Okay, that is my story. It's a lot, there's a lot more to it, but that's the beginning of the story. Okay.
Great.
So today, what I'd love to talk about, you guys, this three vital components of success. Just imagine a luscious lemon cream pie, which this is my pie, by the way. So it's in
And
my
it's
cookbook.
delicious, by the way. And it's in your cookbook, by the way.
It is, and it's an almond pecan pie crust. Oh my goodness. All right. Imagine, and by the way, if Melinda Powers is watching, my beautiful friend from Washington State, the inside of this pie is her recipe. She shared that recipe with me. And then it's my crust. Anyway, imagine you have three pieces of pie. Now, here's what we're going to do with that pie. We are going to talk about three areas, three vital components for business success, because you guys, a lot of us watching today have one of them or two of them, but most of us don't have all three. The example I'd like to use is, let's just say that a lady is fantastic at baking pies, and all of her friends say, Susan, you're so great at baking pies. Why don't you open a pie shop? Just imagine that. And so she's like, yeah, I do love baking pies. She opens a pie shop and it's a complete failure. Why? Because maybe she only has one of 10 skills necessary to actually open I call it a brick and mortar shop. All the other skills that she needed, she didn't have them yet. And she opened that pie. So what we want to do today is help you guys think through this, so that anything you might be lacking, any area that you might want to make a priority, you can see it really clearly. So we're going to start with our mindset. Okay. And I believe everybody already knows this, but let's reiterate this. Money in the hands of good people is a good thing. A good friend of mine once said, poverty brings every horrible, terrible thing into our society. If you can imagine, drugs, all the horrible things, poverty brings it in. So money in the hands of good people is a very good thing. I put this slide in here because this was my personal Achilles heel. Elizabeth, I am a people lover. You know that. I love people. But the fear of other people's opinions can paralyze us.
Yeah.
In our business, if we are always thinking, gosh, I wonder what so-and-so is going to think of me. I wonder if I put this little post on Facebook about this oil or this or that, what are they going to think of me? This truly can paralyze you. And once, people have expectations of us, the truth of it is, if you meet one expectation of someone, they're going to have another one. They're going to have another expectation. So just let it go and realize that as long as you feel like you're doing what God intended you to do, that is what's important. Okay.
Well, and can I just say, I truly believe that that is a driving force. What we truly feel that we're called to do. If we take time to figure that out, which is just different than, hey, I'm just going to start a business because it'll earn me good money and I can pay my bills, right? That's one way or reason to start a business. I just need to pay my bills and I need to go to work, right? But
Yes.
if we can go deeper than that and actually figure out what that thing is that we're called to do, is the simplest explanation I can think of, then um when we're doing what we're called to do, we won't really care what other people think as much because we have that core driving force within us that just won't let us veer from that. And
And
so,
yes, Elizabeth, I love that. And I do think sometimes it's a little sneaky because sometimes we think, oh yeah, we don't really care. But then we watch our actions and we
mhm.
realize, oh darn, what I just did shows me that I still care more about. So just really
Oh
go
yeah.
inward, be on, we need to be honest with ourselves at
Mhm.
all times about that one issue. Well,
Mhm.
let's move on to 3 John 1 and 2, which is, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. So I love this because our soul, our mind, our will, and our emotions, when we develop a strong mind, we have an iron will. We are emotionally sound. We are emotionally stable. We have positive emotions. Developing these are character issues because every single thing starts inward. When we become bigger on the inside, it flows out into our everyday life. So the Lord is willing for us to prosper and be in health, even as our soul prospers.
Mhm.
Okay. Oops, something just happened. Let's see here. There we go. So this is the thing that I love. If we can actually imagine that God sees us as a 10, He really sees us as a 10. So when I ask people, when I'm teaching classes around the world, I do like to ask, how do you currently see yourself in business? Now, the other day, it was kind of sad. I had someone that saw themselves as a 2 out of 10. That's pretty low. The average person will usually say 6 or 7, which is great. And whatever that is, Elizabeth, I'm going to go to the next slide. I think it's on the next slide. No, it's not. But whatever that is, however you see yourself right now, let's say it's a 7. You're going to put an invisible lid on top of your head at a 7 until you can mentally and verbally and visualize yourself higher than that, going higher than that. You'll stay stuck in that. So what again is saying, okay, how does God see me? Not my aunt or my uncle. I've had so many people when I started my essential oil business, oh, Terry, that's never going to work. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to put the effort into that, right? This has been a legacy family, full-time family income for 28 years. What if I had listened to people back then? What if you quit listening to people? Because here's the sad thing, you guys. Average people want you to stay average. Why? Because it messes with their status quo. If somebody just wants to watch a football game every night, drink beer and watch football every night, and all of a sudden you're out there soaring, it messes with their status quo. So average people want you to stay average. There's nothing average about you. You were never born to be average. You are born to be extraordinary. So I believe that core confidence is our birthright. God made us this way. That's how we were as little kids when we were little, most of us. And we need to know that we are marked for success. Finally, and then we're going to move on, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. My goodness, we can stand on that. His desire is to give us a hope and a future. So quit listening to people that are negative, that just think you're never going to amount to anything because they don't have your best interest at heart. This is what I was talking about. John Maxwell, one of my mentors, teaches the law of the lid. So this is what that looks like. You have an invisible, something on top of your head until you can move that. All right. Growing up, this is kind of fun. Our parents, who were just our greatest mentors growing up, and again, many of you didn't have that. Please borrow my parents for just a minute here. My mom would say, Terry, there's two words you need to take out of your vocabulary: can't and average. She said, can't never did anything, and you were never born to be average. So I learned that as a little girl. It doesn't matter what age you are today, just think about that starting today. You can start fresh today and remove can't out of your vocabulary. Well, this story is so precious. Have to bring it forward. This is a story about the power of gratitude. I believe that gratitude and joy are inseparable friends. And I don't think you can truly go to the top in any business without gratitude. So this couple, friends of Elizabeth and mine, Denny and Gail Hansen, were 60 years old when Denny retired as a school teacher in Arizona, in Fountain Hills, Arizona. Unfortunately, they didn't quite have enough money to retire. So they decided, well, what do we love doing? What do we love doing? They love painting the interior of homes. So they started their own little painting business. Here was their recipe for success. When they would finish a job, and by the way, at 60, that's not easy, getting up on a ladder and painting the interior of people's homes, but that's what they did. Well, they would clean out the paint can real good. Gail would bake homemade chocolate chip cookies and fill the paint can with a handwritten note that says, thank you so much for the honor of painting your home. That little show of gratitude was so powerful that it went all over the town, and they could not keep up with the amount of job offers that they had. They retired at 70, bought their dream home, went to clown school, and traveled around doing clown ministry at age 70. What a fruitful life. I just honor Denny and Gail Hansen.
I think it's
today.
so fun. And can I say, Gail was the one that turned us on to Lorelei piano music.
You're right. You're right. And Elizabeth, you have played so many concerts with Lorelei music. Oh, thanks for reminding me of that, honey. Oh,
Well,
wow.
it's just so fun when a person has one focus of their life, right? Even, of course, you talked about their business, but her music was, another part that may have gone unspoken a lot, but she had a beautiful piano in her home and invited folks to come over and enjoy it. And so that was just another aspect of her life and their life that was so inspirational to folks.
Yes. One final thing too. In Arizona in the summer, it could be 110, but Gail would call me. We both played tennis. And she would say, Terry, it's just a lovely day out. Let's go play tennis. And I would say, but Gail, it's 110. And she goes, oh, don't let that bother you. And we literally would go play tennis in 110 and have a wonderful time. I mean, no matter what was going on in their life, it was her attitude. And I so admired it. And truly, it is the greatest example of my own life. Talk about mentors that taught me the principle of gratitude. So let's move on to number 2 now. Okay. Now, the second part of this pie, you guys, is our strategy for our business and also knowing like our product line. So we want to develop a strong business strategy, which includes product knowledge. So let's jump into that real quick. This is really, really an exciting thought, you guys. Think about this. Job security is never found in the job itself, rather in the man or woman who is always willing to continue to grow and learn. This is a really key element because I don't care like who you work for, if you work for yourself, whatever it is, that is not where your security is. It's your willingness to continue learning and growing. If you have that attitude, you will never be out of work. There'll always be work for you. So what I believe is we should flow with the current. We should find out, what do we love? I love health and wellness. Flow with what you love. Don't try to be swimming against the current all of the time. Yeah, it's not going to always be easy. Business is tough. But when you work for yourself and you can actually see yourself advancing, it's a lot more fun than working for a corporation that can downsize you at the flip of a coin, at the flip of a hat. It's a lot more fun. So think, not only do what you love, but truly do what you're good at. You know, Elizabeth, I might love listening to you guys sing 24 hours a day, but I'm not a good singer. So do what you love, do what you're also good at. Okay. So ask yourself that question.
Well, and this is interesting because you are a really good flute player and piano player. So you actually are musical. It's just that singing aspect of things is not one of the talents that was your
Right.
priority over the years. And so
Right.
sometimes we are actually gifted in a certain arena, being music, for instance,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean we have to be an expert at every aspect of that arena.
Good point, honey. Very good point. I love that. Well, this is a really important concept that John Maxwell teaches. We cannot build an uphill life with downhill habits, can we? We need to raise our standards. You guys, anything worthwhile in life is uphill. Like I said, it's not just going to be smooth sailing. You might say, oh, I think I'll just coast today. I think I'll just coast along for a while. Guess what, guys? If you're just coasting along, chances are you're going downhill. So let's think about this. We are going to take this word procrastination and we are going to upgrade it to persistence. We're going to take laziness and upgrade to diligence. Entitlement, boy, this is a really big thing right now in society. So many people feel entitled. They think the government should give them everything. I'm sorry, that's not how I was raised. We need to change entitlement to gratitude. My father used to say, Terry, hard work brings good luck. Hard work brings good luck. And it sure has been true in my life. We're going to change distractions to focus. We're going to focus on our business, what's truly moving us forward, and not allowing things like Facebook to distract us. Finally, negative attitude, get rid of it. It doesn't have any place in business. There's always a way to get over the mountain. No matter what that mountain is, there's always a way to get over it. We need to create a positive attitude and stay with it. People are going to want to follow you when you have a positive attitude. All right. Know your product or service. Elizabeth, you and I, we are involved in Young Living product line, which has 500 products. That's no easy thing to have a product line with 500 products. The thing is, we're always learning. We're never going to totally arrive. If a customer asks me about some product that I don't have a lot of experience in, I'm not going to fake it. I'm going to let them know, you know what? I need to do a little more research on this. I'll get right back to you. But study your product line, become an expert in your product line. This is something that was very, very instilled. The Lord instilled on me early on in my 28-year career that I needed to be an expert and be very solid in what it was that I was sharing with people as a wellness coach. So know your product line. All right. Develop your business plan. How do we do that? We've got to think about all the aspects of our business. What do we need to think about in our business? Let's look at that. All right, we need to think about our cash flow. How do you want to look at your cash flow? For me, I just take my tithe right off the top. I take money for my taxes right off the top. I take money for advertising right off the top. There's all these areas you've got to make it. If you don't make a decision, then your money will just be gone and you have no idea where it went. So you've got to make a decision on where that money is going. How much are you going to put in savings every month? What percentage is going to go into savings? And then you live off the rest. And if you're interested in if you're interested in, changing over from being an employee of someone into owning your own business, then you can do it little by little. But you still have to have those goals of how am I going to operate a business that I own by myself. In the business that Elizabeth and I are in, which is network marketing, the best thing about our business is that we don't have a boss. However, it can be the worst thing. Why? Because we have to have discipline. If we don't wake up in the morning and work, nobody's going to do it for us. So you have to have discipline and make a decision. If I do this today, how is this going to positively affect myself and my family 5 years from now? All right. What are we going to do about choosing a team? Because guess what, you guys, if you are in some kind of a marketing business, you never go to the top alone. If you have a dream of some kind, you have to have a team. You're going to choose a skilled, focused team. The mistake a lot of us make is we want to hire our 5 broke friends because we want to help them. We've got to ask ourselves, why are they broke? Why? So when I interview someone that wants to become a part of my team, I ask what business they're currently in or what previous business experience do they have? And when they tell me about it, I ask them, well, how successful was that business? And when they tell me, I ask them why. Why do you think that business was not as successful as it could have been? Because we have to be willing to identify our weak spots and work on those in order to grow. So you're not on this earth to try to help people that don't want to be helped. You're here to help people that truly desire to work, desire to focus, desire to grow, and then you partner with them and you move forward. Okay, well, I love this part. Anybody that knows me, if you're watching online or wherever you're watching, knows that I love fashion. I love clothes, texture, color, you name it, shopping. I love it. Well, you guys, the power of the first impression is you cannot deny it. You absolutely cannot deny it. Because when someone sees you for the very, very first time, are they going to think, wow, she looks put together. I want to learn from her. I desire to partner with her. Or are they going to say, well, that probably isn't really somebody that I want to learn from. Now, does that mean you walk? Here's a funny thing. I had a situation, this was really a few years ago, where I had a gentleman, business partner, a guy, and, he was very casual, blue jeans and a t-shirt kind of guy. And he went to his next door neighbor to talk about our products dressed in a 3-piece suit. I mean, they laughed at him because they knew that wasn't anything about who the guy was. So I said to him, listen, honestly, be who you are, but I said, are you open to some suggestions? He goes, absolutely. I said, just get a pair of jeans that fits, get a pair that fits you nicely. Upgrade that t-shirt to a little bit better t-shirt, tuck it in, And sure enough, that was all he needed to do. So we're not saying you should become somebody you're not, but look put together, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression, okay? And the power of pink. Okay, guys, plug your ears. If there's any guys watching, plug your ears. But ladies, I will tell you, oftentimes I'm in a setting with sitting around a conference table with all men and I'm the only woman. That happens quite often. And I don't want to be like a man. Personally, I'm so grateful to be a woman, and I like to actually celebrate my femininity because that's how God made me. I don't want to change how he made me. So I might wear a suit because it's a real corporate event, but I wear a pink suit. Oh, anyway, just think about this. We get to be who we are, and we shine best when we are who we are. created to be. So, Elizabeth, if you have any comments, go ahead and jump in, girl.
Oh goodness. Well, I even cons even pertaining to the clothing thing, average people want you to stay average. And so this is something that I've personally been challenged with living in a small town of Kerrville, Texas, because people here, there's a lot of ranches around. And I mean, there's interesting things like functional clothing. If you're gardening, wear gardening clothes. If you're hiking, wear hiking clothes. But if you're going to meet up at a restaurant or a coffee shop for a meeting, wear something that it doesn't have to be super dressy, but
Yeah.
it just needs to be put together in good colors for your skin tone and your hair tone and good fit for your body type, And so sadly, I do actually see a lot of women and even men wearing things that just don't look good on their body. They may look good on somebody else type of thing. And
Right, right.
and just like not a lot of care put into how combinations of things work. And so it kind of makes me sad because I feel like, and again, a person isn't the sum of what they wear or how expensive their clothes are or what brands they have, but I do feel like, why not want to look our best, whatever your style is,
Mhm.
rather than just kind of being like, hey, I'm here, glad to show up to a meeting.
Well,
Um,
Elizabeth, I don't want you to get a big head, so oftentimes I don't tell you certain things, but I will tell you in this little town, I cannot go anywhere in this little town with somebody saying, we just want you to know what an amazing daughter you have. And they'll go on about this or that. So I honor you, honey, being someone, that is younger and choosing, it's kind of like what the way I see you is that you create the trend. You are the trend. And
mhm.
I really honor you for that. And I know we have to move on. I was just looking at my time here, but really, thank you, honey. I really honor you in that. Okay, we're going to move faster. We're going to move faster here. 80-20 rule. What is that? 80-20. Let's spend 80% of our time in our home-based business doing activities that actually bring in new business, customers, clients. 20% of our time building a website, getting new business cards, organizing our desk. Really ask yourself, honestly, take an inventory. How am I spending my time? Okay, QR codes rock. If there was only one positive thing that came out of the shutdown, and I'll say that this is the only positive thing I can think of. It's that the QR code became very important. If you take your phone right now and you click on that QR code, it'll just take you to my website, terryseacrest.com, and you can make your QR code go wherever you want. And it is a very, very valuable part of doing business today. So think about the QR code. Loving on your current clients. Everybody's all about, social media this, social media that. How many times do you ever open the mailbox and get something with a handwritten address on it? I guarantee if you're watching today and that's you, you're going to open that one first, aren't you? Because you get so excited to actually get some real mail. So send love mail to your customers. Everybody wants to be honored and appreciated. Okay, 4 words to overcome every objection in your business. Well, in whatever business you're in today, I'm especially going to talk to young living people right now. You're going to have objections. A great objection would be, oh boy, these oils, they seem expensive. I am going to say to you, you know what? That's the best part. Because with all the different oils that are out there, only 2% are actually the highest therapeutic grade essential oils, and you are looking at them. They might say, oh, Terry, Young Living has such a large product line. How would I ever get to know all of these products? And my response is, That's the best part. And the reason I'm going to say that is because early on in my Young Living career, before we had the powerful, powerful nutritional products that we had, oftentimes as a wellness coach, I had to send someone to a health food store down the street to get certain things. Let's say they want, cardiovascular support, great example. I would have to send them to another store. Now, people can shop in their own store. It's like having a natural pharmacy that is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You shop in your own store. We have what you need for every system of the human body. So what I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid of objections. Just know that you have what people need, and they truly are looking for your expertise in this area. Okay. Cannot stress this enough. If you're owning your own home-based business with Young Living, take time to celebrate every success with your teammates. I had a wonderful gal years ago call me and say, Terry, our team just isn't really, they're just not really moving forward like I feel like they should. And I said, okay. I said, tell me about your everyday activities. Can you give me a little, example of what you guys do? Well, by the time she got done telling me, I was exhausted. It sounded like a military operation. And so I found out, sure enough, she had been in the military. So she was kind of running her beautiful Young Living business like a military operation. I said, you know what? Please go have some fun with your team. I said, could I give you a suggestion? And she said, sure. I said, why don't you host a Sunday brunch with delicious food, music, candlelight, hire a massage therapist, make sure that everybody that comes gets a foot massage with essential oils while they're there. Have some fun with your team and celebrate your team. It wasn't a month or two later, she called me and she said, yep, it worked. And I said, oh, okay. And she began telling me, and that was what it was. I was also recently at a seminar for multiple kinds of business owners. And one of the business owners owned a company. What would you call it? It was a flooring company. And he said, Terry, he said, I can't get anybody to work for me. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, the flooring has so many chemicals in it and it's such hard work. Nobody wants to work for me. He goes, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, do you celebrate your team? Do you have any fun? Do you take them out to a baseball game? Do you do any? He goes, no, we don't do any of that. I said, well, you better start. I said, because why? You got to ask yourself, why would somebody want to work with you? They want to work with you because you are making them feel like part of a team and you are bringing them into a community. And that would be more powerful than anything else. And so just think about, what you're doing in your business. Okay, please, if you guys want to take a picture of this slide, I know our time is short here, but these are the questions we should ask ourselves several times a year. Is there a skill that I need to work on? How are my people skills? Am I managing my time well? Am I a valuable player in my company? How is my daily attitude? Am I taking care of my physical, emotional, and spiritual health? Am I giving valuable time to my family? Am I allowing others to fill my tank? Okay, I'm sorry we can't expound on that. Mentors are essential. Do you have any mentors? We need mentors. Sometimes it could be a health mentor, a lifestyle coach, a spiritual mentor, a business mentor. It might be for a short period of time, but we all need mentors to grow. To be honest, in the old days, I used to think the most important thing in life was a college education. I don't believe that anymore because it no longer guarantees us a job. I think it's critical that we have internships. We can send our children to powerful interns in whatever business they're interested in. And they need education, but it's not always just that basic 4 years of college. They need things that are truly going to help them in their life goal and purpose. Well, for those of you that need to go, I truly do understand. We are already at the 12 o'clock mark. I will say I'm going to breeze through this because leadership, to be honest, I think is the most important of these three vital components. This was my weak area. I had never been taught leadership. I had a great working knowledge of the products. My mindset was exactly where it needed to be, but I didn't know how to lead people. So you guys, this is so critical. 5 vital qualities of a good leader. Number 1, leaders are readers. If we want to go to the top in business, fall in love with reading. And you guys, there's no excuse right now because every single book you need is on audiobook. You could put a blindfold on and get any one of the 120 books written by John Maxwell, #1 leadership trainer in America, and you could drive down the road and listen to an audiobook and get so much wisdom. So leaders are readers. Leaders are willing to correct their flaws. Why, you guys? Because life is a mirror that reflects back to us what we put into life. It's so much fun to blame others, isn't it? We just could blame everybody else for our lack of success. But the truth is, we've got to look in the mirror and figure out what is our flaw and correct our flaw if we want to go to the top. Leaders have confidence with humility. Listen, nobody wants to follow an insecure person. You wouldn't want to follow somebody that was, flip-flopping back and forth on what they believe every time you turn around. People want to follow a confident leader. The only thing is, as I mentioned earlier in this class, be careful not to be overly confident, because humility is knowing that it was God that gave us these talents in the first place. All right? Leaders are exceptional listeners. If you ask me, what is the #1 quality that I need to be successful in a home-based network marketing business, I would say become a good listener. Because if you don't really understand what another person needs in life, you can't honestly direct them correctly. We need to ask good questions and listen with our heart. Don't just listen from the surface. We need to listen from our heart. What does this person need? Do they need better health? Are they looking for a business? Are they looking for emotional support? What do they need? And be there for them. I would highly recommend you start with this book right here, Good Leaders Ask Great Questions by John Maxwell. It's a great starter book in leadership. #4, leaders don't make excuses. Excuses shrink our stature, you guys. Excuses make us look shorter. And as soon as we start making excuses for ourselves, our team members are going to start showing up late, making excuses, whatever it be. When I said there's always a way over that mountain, I meant it. And there's always a way that that flower can come through that very hard ground and bloom like a shining star, because there is always a way to break through when you're committed. All right? This is so great. Finally, leaders lead well at home. Wow, guys, this is so huge. When someone walks in our home, what are they going to see? What are they going to hear? What are they going to smell? What are they going to experience? Are they going to feel love when they walk into our home? This is so important. This is kind of just a fun little thing to share. I really love traditions. Do you guys love traditions? Something that your family can count on. This was something called Fabulous Food Friday. We offered lunch to all the football players for an entire year, every Friday. from my son's football team. And these guys became close friends, and they would text me, Miss Terry, can we come to lunch tomorrow? Because they didn't want to miss it. And it was very, very life-giving. So think about a simple tradition that you could start in your home that bonds your family together. All right, so based on what you've just heard, which of these three components do you feel the strongest in? Mindset, strategy and product knowledge, or leadership? I know that in Young Living, what I see shining, just shining in Young Living people is product knowledge. I'm so blown away, impressed by the amount of product knowledge that everyone on our team has. All right, which component would you most like to work on? And how do you feel you can gain some advanced in that particular area? Let's think about that. You guys, there are some good tools that I can offer you today for those of you that maybe have not been, fortunate enough to learn much about being an entrepreneur. So this is a beautiful teaching, igniting the entrepreneur in you. This is a 1-hour teaching. I'll show you in just a minute how you can get it. And it's going to go into all the important skills you need to learn as an entrepreneur, as someone who desires to own their own business. Second, become a leader of influence, developing core confidence, learning the art of listening, and the 5 insights that make your business thrive. This is another 1-hour, very powerful teaching. Money is a wonderful tool, but truly what is rewarding is to feel that we can influence people around the world for good. This is truly where satisfaction and joy comes from. If you're interested in anything that has to do with the biblical perspective on essential oils, I have a 1-hour teaching on that. That is a live presentation video that you can watch on your computer. And then a 1-hour teaching anchored in joy. As I said, I believe that joy is our birthright. And this is a powerful teaching that I did on a Sunday morning I believe it was a church in Kansas. So anchored in joy. So the way you can get this, you guys, it's all on one simple little thumb drive. It is good for anyone, no matter what business you own. This will help you and gain some knowledge. And you will also get the PowerPoints that go with each of these teachings. So if you have a group of friends or business partners and you want them to come into your home for a lunch or a dinner and put this on your television, you'll be able to do that and let this teach you. Then I have, of course, my books, all the #1 Amazon bestseller, Essential Oils, God's Extravagant Provision for Your Health. A biblical perspective on essential oils. This is my #1 best-selling book of all times. And then Eating Out of Heaven's Garden. It was written for the average family. How can you just start eating a little bit healthier? Maybe you were raised on the typical American diet. The goal of this book is recipes and teaching to get you started, you and your family, get you started on the right path. So this is a really beautiful offer, that Seeds of Time. So if you go to seedsoftime.com, or you just go right here on the little QR code with your phone right now, you will see this beautiful series is worth $190. And right now, Seeds of Time is offering it for just $48. I will share with you, I don't think they have a lot left, is what they told me about a week ago. So when they're done, they're done. I will be producing a brand new series, but it will not be available for 3 to 6 months. So if you'd like to immediately start learning these deep concepts, please don't wait. Go ahead and get it right away and know that you are investing in your future. I believe there's only 2 ways you can fail in business. 1 is if you quit too early, and 2 is if you're not teachable. We need to have a teachable heart in order to go to the top. in business. So I want to thank you guys so very much for joining me today. We will be, this is being recorded. We will make it available for the people because, as I said, the email did not go out for this class. So we will make this available to those of you that missed it. And we are believing for your success, Royal Dream Team. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, what a amazing blessing. Thank you for sharing that. Sharing
Yes,
all of your
yes.
wisdom. Oh,
Thank you
some
guys
great,
so much.
great points. Great points. And so I think those are ones that we can just take and digest.
You know,
Folks,
Elizabeth, we could, once you turn off the recording, I would love to pray for everybody that
oh
is on here.
yeah. Okay, let me do that. Here we go. Just a sec.